Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Finally.
The Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Who's come back? Give me a hell yeah.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as always, this week, I'm joined by my illustrious co-host and good friend, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, I'm generally seeing you more than I'm seeing anyone in my life right now. How are you, mate?
It's all well, it's all good for you then, eh? No, I'm good, but as you say, monsoon conditions for you, possibly coming up to me in Essex. So we'll see if we make it through the night.
Yeah, you're about 2 hours away from me, mate. And I'm looking out my window now, mate. As we record this, I did say if my Zoom cuts out, this could be an interesting podcast. It is absolutely. People who are listening to this or watching this abroad won't be shocked to hear it's pissing it down in England. But hey, we are going to do our first AEW Dynamite review show, Adam. Before we get started, let's just have a brief chat about the way AEW is perceived right now, because they did start off on such a hot streak when me and Parker originally started this podcast. And Parker is still around, folks. Don't panic. He is just taking a small hiatus. My good man, Parker Hamlet, is taking he is the AEW guru. So he is definitely going to be listening to this podcast. Big shout out to my man, Parker. Miss you. Love you, brother. You are a good dude. When me and Parker start doing the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast halfway through last year, AEW was such a strong part of our show. Parker is, like I say, so knowledgeable about his AEW. Talks so highly of it every week. Love listening to him talk. I loved watching it and hearing him, and he educated me on AEW. It took the expected dip, maybe. Has it taken a bigger dip than you thought it would? Obviously, I know, Adam, you watch a lot of wrestling like me, WWE, AEW. But before we get into looking at last week's AEW Dynamite, because you've only got to go through social media right now to see.
You mean this week's Dynamite, right?
Sorry, this week's Dynamite. Yeah, the last Wednesday just gone. My days. Wednesday just gone. We sit here recording this on the Friday evening. It took an expected dip, but do you think AEW now, looking at the socials, I mean, we've had some tweets in about it already, just saying we're doing an AEW. It's seen as gymnastics of wrestling. It seems to be badmouthed a lot now. The whole, we'll get into the CM Punk thing. I promise you, we will be talking about that before this show goes off the air. How are you with AEW now? Because it was good when it come along. It was legitimate competition, people say, for WWE. Were we ever going to get WCW versus WWF WWE type thing again? No, but appreciate AEW for what it is. I dipped out of it for a little while. I host a wrestling podcast now, so I kind of have to watch it. I enjoyed what I seen this past week, the presentation, everything that gets shit on quite a lot. I saw on Twitter this week, the ropes are now red, white, and blue. What are AEW doing? Who gives a shit? First of all, where are you with AEW as a whole? Ad, from when it started, do you think they had a dip? Your view might differ to mine. Do you think they had a dip? Where are you now? Where are you with the whole spectrum with AEW? Because we do talk a lot of WWE on this podcast. This show is purely AEW.
Yeah, I think I've had to get used to a lot of stuff. I think you mentioned there was a comment saying it was glorified trampoline wrestling or along those lines. I have agreed with some of that, dependent on who's in the ring. But I've kind of gotten used to the fact that that's kind of how wrestling is now, period. Doesn't really matter. We talked before on the air, and people were saying about, the gymnastics thing. We mentioned, well, Mysterio done it. Van Dam done it. Juventud Guerrera done it. Dean Malenko was a technical version of a trampoline, in a sense. He could do some of that sort of bits and pieces. Guerrero was the same. In a way.
Chris Jericho, when he first come into WWE.
Well, even when he was Lionheart.
WCW, Lionheart, Japan.
Yes. So I just think there's more of it now. Maybe when we're talking about past names, it wasn't sort of every match, perhaps, because you'd have your big. I mean, AEW has got their bigger guys as well. Don't get me wrong. The dip, I think, was more. I didn't expect it as bad, but obviously, I think there was reasons for that. And backstage, I think sometimes he's got this big roster, and we don't see a lot of the talent. A lot. Miro. Like one of the guys who I thought when he went there, if they used him right, he could multiple time world champion piss easy because he should have been in WWE. They messed him up. I mean, obviously there was things that come out last night now about Miro that kind of makes it understandable. But you look at that and like Brian Cage, the guy that can do moonsaults and hurricane ranas and Christ knows what else with that figure. I think he's more Ring of Honor now. I think he's part of something on Ring of Honor. But so perhaps the buying of Ring of Honor now will kind of shift the talent so they get some time.
Do you kind of see their Ring of Honor as, and I don't mean this as in similarities, as in NXT, as in developmental? I mean, I know it's got, again, Ring of Honor's got a weekly I haven't seen this week, so I'm going to watch it tonight. Yeah. I enjoyed last week's product. Kind of, it looks like it's in Florida in the old Impact Zone. I remember texting you saying, this looks very familiar. And then it come up live from Florida. I'm like, well, this is pretty much a sound studio. This is a sound studio in Florida. So when people were talking about CM Punk going back to Ring of Honor, I'm like, there's no way he's wrestling in front of 100 people. But do you kind of get that feel? That's what Tony Khan's doing, with the whole Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor's got such a storied history. We spoke with Fiona yesterday about NWA. Well, we're talking history in wrestling. Ring of Honor is one of the elite, biggest promotions that's ever. If you know your wrestling, back in the day, Ring of Honor was really big. Are you kind of seeing that's what Khan is trying to do now with Ring of Honor and use? Because you said, and quite rightly so, huge roster, big roster. Do they need to use Ring of Honor to get some of that talent across? But then again, a lot of the talent that I watched on Ring of Honor last week were on Dynamite this week. So there's not much crossover, but there's not much of like, you're purely Ring of Honor, you're purely Dynamite, you're purely Rampage, like we have with Raw and SmackDown. Are you kind of seeing that's how AEW are trying to move it?
I think they should. And I do think if they do it, they've got to see WWE make that thing where they do Raw and then sometimes they jump shit and they, I know they do a draft, but you do get it where they do crossovers. I want them to do it, but do it so it's totally separate because he does, and regardless whether it's trampoline wrestling or whatever you want to call it, he's got a roster there of people that can pull off unbelievable matches that he kind of gives away for free. I'm gonna touch on that with you later. 'Cause I've got a question for you later that I've written down that we'll go through. It's more about ratings and stuff, but there's questions about ratings. But he's got an amazing set of talent there that he still isn't really utilizing. Because you 2 hours of Dynamite, 1 hour Rampage, 45 minutes of Rampage, however long you can get it. So I want him to split it, and I want them to have it's exclusive Ring of Honor, exclusive AEW. But a lot of the AEW guys were in Ring of Honor anyway, so it's not exactly going to be a big thing if Danielson ends up over there or someone like that. But he needs to split it, and he needs to keep it split. Just let the talent go because he's got so much good talent on AEW.
Yeah, no, you're right. Talking of talent, before we get into our Dynamite review show, CM Punk. I know. Again, bringing up my good friend Parker when we done this, a huge CM Punk fan. You've listened to the shows when I've done them with Parker, and I enjoyed listening to Parker's views on CM Punk. For those that don't know, CM Punk, I'm guessing if you're listening to this and you know you're wrestling, you know what happened last night. He put on his Instagram, I think he put a post. I'll give you the shorted, abbreviated version. CM Punk has attacked AEW and now deleted his Instagram story. In a post, he called Dave Meltzer a liar, and former AEW World Champion Chris Jericho a liar and a stooge. And he also claimed that Jon Moxley refused to lose to him. That's kind of the long of short of it. That post was probably up of all of 10 minutes, maybe not even that. It was deleted very lively. Now, here's the thing. CM Punk's not stupid. He knows whatever he posts is going to go viral among the wrestling community. Now, My question to you, Adam, did he know what he was doing with that post? Am I reading too much into this? And this could be the biggest work in wrestling history, and he's going to appear in the next pay-per-view. I think is in May, Double or Nothing
The Double or Nothing
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or was it just Punk being Punk? Because you don't kind of put this thing on your. Don't get me wrong. If this, and there's a lot of people on social media are like, well, maybe this was meant to be a private post, and no. This wasn't meant to be a private post. CM Punk is a very, very clever man. He knew what he was doing. Now, he took it down 10 minutes later, maybe not even that. And then he put another Instagram story up with the quote, "I'm too old for this shit." I think he's been very clever here. He knows he kind of has to stay relevant, but at the end of the day, he is CM Punk, so he'll always be relevant. Is the door, after what you saw, and this is like we're talking about a 5 to 10 minute social media post, is the door still slightly ajar at AEW? Is the door fully open at AEW? Is the door firmly shut, padlocks on? CM Punk is never setting his foot inside an AEW arena ever again. What says you, my friend?
I think also there was one last bit he done there is about his health, wasn't it? He wasn't he was talking about.
He said they wanted him to go over Moxley to put him over in a squash match, and CM Punk's like, if I get cleared, I'll do it.
Yeah.
He obviously wasn't cleared, and Tony Khan allegedly said, well, we'll do it as a squash. We'll roll up pin. Moxley will get the 1, 2, 3, yada, yada, yada. Or Moxley refused to lose to CM Punk, something like that. So, yeah, my fault for missing off the end there. He said that I refused to do anything before I got cleared.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would put that on your story and then delete it 5 minutes later, because you knew if Vince McMahon tweeted something out, if The Rock, if Stone Cold, if any of these big names, and let's be honest, CM Punk is in that category of stardom. Not talking wrestling. I'm not talking, fame here. If CM Punk puts something out on his social media, it's going to go viral. What did you make of it? What do you think it could lead to, and what could the future hold for CM Punk?
I wouldn't say the door is firmly shut until they release him. So CM Punk's also very clever. And he's also a good businessman. He will do the business side of things, albeit they've had issues backstage. Do I think Punk will be in AEW? I think you'll be an idiot to bet against it.
Okay.
Look, I think we'll never really know. My gut is I don't think it's the last time we're going to see Punk in AEW, whether it's Ring of Honor or AEW. I think potentially, and I'll go on to this when we discuss Dynamite, because I think, I'm not saying, there may be a storyline involving Punk that's starting. If he's posted that because he's coming out as a prick, which sometimes he comes out as, then he's kind of limiting maybe stuff now if he's starting to do that. But it could just be Punk being a good businessman.
That's what social media went mad, and people were like, "Oh, Punk's being a prick."
Jericho found it funny.
He tweeted the Matt Hardy delete, which was very funny. Fair play to Jericho. Could he be in it? Are we all being worked? Is it a work? I mean, the thing is with wrestling, and then we say it all the time, never say never. I never thought I'd see Bret Hart back in a WWE.
Well, I was going to make
hugging Shawn Michaels. I did. Austin took his ball and went home and was never coming back. He come back. All kinds of things. It's probably the best saying ever in wrestling is never say never. It's a mantra. It's a mantra to live and die by, wrestling fans. But yeah, I'm kind of still on the fence. It's nearly 24 hours later since he's done his Instagram story and I'm still none the wiser. But let's get into it, Ads. Let's get into the AEW Dynamite from this past Wednesday. As we sit here recording this on Friday. Solid show, I thought. I mean, we talk about Raw and SmackDown, all the time. And me and Parker used to do a thing called Who Won the War this week. I've watched Raw. Obviously, I haven't watched SmackDown again. Me and you are sitting here on a Friday recording this. I've watched Raw. It was okay. It was a fairly solid show. My opinion, and people can come at me for this. I enjoyed Dynamite more. That's just me, and everyone. Yeah, you know me. I'm a WWE guy. You can cut me open. I'll bleed WWE, WWF all my life. As a show, as a production, as what I saw was put on my TV screen, I really enjoyed AEW. Started out with the Young Bucks getting taken away in their ambulance, obviously beat up by the Blackpool Combat Club, and then we kick off the show. I like what I did like about the show, and I've said this to you in the past, and I do like the way some wrestling promotions do this. And I think pay-per-views do it a lot. Start the show off, get the audience engaged straight away.
Yeah, no
better way to kick it off than Sting, Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy versus Butcher and the Blade. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a great opening. Was it Butcher and the Blade? Was it 3-on-3? It was 3-on-3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sting, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy versus Butcher, Blade. Am I missing some? Who am I missing?
Jarrett, was it?
Something. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I'm missing some.
But
it was a great. I thought the show was at the start of the show was good. Anytime I get to see Sting in a wrestling ring, even at the ripe old age he is, I'm going to enjoy it. What did you think of the way AEW kicked off? You know what I mean? For all the bad press AEW's been getting recently, I've watched 2 Dynamites in a row now, and I've been impressed twice.
Definitely. Did they mention the Blackpool Combat Club took out the Bucks, or is that just an assumption?
It was kind of on commentary. They were like, "This must be the Blackpool Combat Club," and we'll get to the end of the show, and they kind of alluded to it again, saying it must have been the Blackpool Combat Club.
The reason why I'm not convinced by that, a lot of it is revolving around Callis, and he prevented Omega from going into the ambulance. Later on in the show, he does something else, which will to try and pull Kenny away from Hangman and the Bucks. So I think there's a storyline developing there. Now, and we go back to what we've just been talking about, is there a CM Punk bit in there? Because if you noticed, and I don't know if you've seen socials since, is that when someone took a picture of the AEW truck, Punk's picture was on it. When they done the backstage, they put a big wooden block over his face, so you couldn't see. Anyway, could it be a Punk thing? I don't know. But one of the things that we've always said with wrestling is when we watch the show, we want to get to the end and think we need to tune in next week. For the last 2 weeks at least, and there's been other weeks, but consecutive weeks now, I've watched the end of AEW and I've gone, okay, I want to see it next week. The first match, look, Orange Cassidy, I think, has been kicking off AEW for the last month in singles or in tag action. His gimmick's funny, his gimmick's silly, but it's over. No matter what way you look at it, it's over. Sting doing the little kicks was hilarious, and doing his little roll again was hilarious. It was, as you say, you have to start the show hot to get the crowd in, and they did that.
Yeah, no, they did, and the match obviously ended. Sting, Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy won, but Darby Allin looking up at the double or nothing sign. It was very like WrestleMania-y kind of.
Yeah,
he was. Point. Yeah, if he had pointed at that, I would have been like, "Oh no!" It was like, it ended up with Darby. The only thing I'm not quite sure of is, and a lot of people made this point on social media. They had the week before with them all in the ring with MJF, and they were talking about the title. I'd kind of like to have seen some movement on that storyline, weekly kind of thing. I get why they done the so Darby looked up at the sign, and but if you look from that opening segment on the previous Dynamite, not everyone was involved in this week's Dynamite. No. If that kind of makes sense. So I do, and I I'm on social media all the time, and the main point I get from a lot of AEW fans and wrestling fans is Tony Khan's storytelling doesn't kind of like mirror up. And you made that point a minute ago, saying he kind of does one thing one week and then he'll completely flip it. And a lot of people didn't get why the main event, which we'll get to, AEW, a lot of people are like, well, where's the build for this? But it was because that And if you were watching during the pandemic, that match got cancelled during the pandemic, and it was meant to happen then. But who's going to remember back that? You know what I mean? It's all very much. You've got to kind of be on your toes. But solid start to Dynamite. We then moved to the Guns versus Top Flight. Top Flight have been on, again, come back to what you said earlier. Top Flight have been on Ring of Honor. I watched Ring of Honor last week. Top Flight were one of the main people on that. Solid. Again, I like what the Guns are doing. Obviously, runs in their family. Their dad's, one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time.
Yes.
The match was solid. Obviously we had Mike Bennett and all the guys coming down to interfere at the they come down at the end and interfered. It ended with obviously the Guns winning, but the main talking point from that match, which leads to my kind of next question and where I'm thinking they might be going with this, or are they just trying to flip it and get our minds thinking where they shouldn't be going? FTR hit the ring and we're basically like, look to the Guns. We want a title shot. We would do anything for that. Nothing you can do. The Guns are saying nothing. It ended up with FTR saying, if we don't beat you, I don't know when they didn't actually say when the match is going to be. If we don't, they didn't schedule it for Dynamite. They didn't schedule it for Rampage. It's not going to be a Rampage. It's just crazy. If we don't beat you, we'll leave AEW. Now, straight away, everyone's like, well, they're going to WWE. Are they going to WWE? Have they signed a new contract with AEW? And it's just a bluff because they have to win. So if they don't basically win the tag team titles, even if this ends in a squash, disqualification, interference, yada, 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 they're gone. Is this the setup for them leaving to go to WWE? Or have they just pulled a big wall over our eyes and they've signed a new deal at AEW and they're going to be tag team champions?
I just think it's the best way of getting the publicity they need. So basically, everybody knows their contract's up. So what better way to keep the fans guessing than say, if we lose our next match or we lose this match against you, we leave. They may not have signed anywhere yet. I know from the podcast that I think it's Dax. I can't remember who's who now.
Talking about Triple H in his last podcast.
But he also said that they have made a decision of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a good way. It was an obvious thing for them to. I was kind of expecting it because, again, it asked the question that they're going WWE or they're saying AEW. My gut feeling is they're staying at AEW.
I hope they do, because WWE didn't use them right the first time round. They turned up at AEW during the pandemic, and I get why some people want to go back. I'm like, man, no, I think they're really over in AEW. I don't know what you think. I mean, would you go back or would you stay in AEW? I don't know.
I think it only depends on their motivation and what they're looking to do. So if it's money motivated, they'll probably go to WWE. If it's freedom, not to say freedom, but WWE will prohibit certain things from them to do. If they want the freedom to be able to go to maybe even a New Japan, I know that relationship is a bit strained, but they're doing Forbidden Door again. If they want to be able to do them sort of things, then they stay at AEW. Or if they want total freedom, the other thing they said they would do is hit the independents for a year. So again, it's kept everyone guessing, which is what they want. I think it's what they wanted to do anyway. My gut is saying they're staying where they are.
Yeah, no, I hope they stay. Put it that way. I did one of the Guns, the tag team division in AEW.
It's good, but let's be honest. If they leave AEW, we can get them on a podcast.
Yes, yeah. We there's some things we're working on right now that you have to be. Yeah, we need people out of contract quick in AEW so we can get them on.
We do.
Can't say. I think I've divulged too much. Anyway, I digress. We then had Stockley Wade from the Firm versus Hook. Hook is Taz's son, for those that don't know. He's the FTW champion. Me and Parkin used to get into this all the time. Is there too many titles in AEW? Because he come out and I am getting back into my AEW now, and you kind of had to, Ricky Starks had one belt one time. You've got Orange Cassidy with a belt. You've obviously got the AEW World Championship. You've got Hooks, the FTW champion. In your opinion, do they have too many? Is it too hard for us fans to go, right, why is he the champion of that? Why is that belt relevant? I'm kind of, that's my only gripe with AEW. I'm kind of like, right, like he's there. That happened then. He does that. He's that champion. He's on that show, but now he's on this show. That's my only thing with AEW. It's kind of like getting a jigsaw, chucking it up in the air, and going right. Go and find the pieces and put this back together. I don't know how do you see it?
Well, I mean, what have they got? The heavyweight championship. They've got the international. Is it the international championship now? So
Orange
the All Atlantic.
Cassidy's they got
It
rid of
was
the
All Atlantic.
Atlantic
I think he's changed it to the international or something,
International.
right?
You've got the FTW champion. Obviously, you've got the tag team
Yeah.
champions. You've got the
Well,
women.
is it the same WWE though? Because they've got world champion,
Mm-hmm.
technically two if they split.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Intercontinental. Then you've got IC. Then you've got the tag. Then you've got the women's world title. The only thing the WWE don't really have is a mid card women's title.
But they're WWE belts. What the fuck is the FTW
But it was never
champion?
about, was it? It was never a recognized championship, was it? That was just something that Taz brought in, I think, to ECW.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't think they've got. I think they've got about right. I think if they start adding more, we need to be concerned.
Yeah. I mean, Hook. I mean, obviously, still undefeated. I'm pretty sure in AEW.
Yes.
Got a great potential, great look. Obviously, we all know his background. His dad was one of the, if you watched ECW growing up when he had to come out with the orange. Mate, his intro, incredible. Is Hook is he someone, the match on Dynamite was, that Stockley had away from the firm.
What you expected to happen.
Yeah, it was a bit of a squash. It's the only time I quite like watching Hook. I'd like to see them putting him in a more productive storyline. Every time I watched AEW quite a lot at the end of last year, I've dipped back into it now. He still doesn't seem to be doing anything. He still seems to be in these mid to bottom card matches, and I don't know. I'm just
I think we have to be careful of let's not go push him to the moon
too quick. Yeah,
and I think the difference with AEW is they don't have a developmental, so they don't have an NXT. So you could argue you could go to Ring of Honor, but I still think Ring of Honor is more like a SmackDown than an NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be, and I think they're doing it right. They're not just going over there with him. He's not main eventing. He's having the type of matches that if you're trying to slowly build a young talent,
slowly catch your monkey.
Yeah, because what is he, 21?
21, 22, 23, I think.
Okay, but still, infancy. And he's not, I didn't even know he was a wrestler until we debuted on AEW. So I think they're doing the right thing with him. And I think that, because we've seen it before, the young guy gets pushed straight to the top.
Drew McIntyre.
Well, like that, but also going back to yesterday with like Fiona, you then see these things start coming in like addictions, and because you've got all this money at such a young age,
all happens so quickly.
You
so
see
fast.
You see it in even in other sports. You see that they're young, they get all this money, and then all of a sudden, this woman said this woman said that. He's been arrested. He's got all the. Even Randy Orton was one of those guys.
1, 2, X-Pac, 1, 2, 3 kids. Sean Morton.
You look
prime
at that.
example.
So, yeah, exactly that. So I think they're doing the right thing with Hook. Obviously, his dad's there, so that's another. I've seen pictures of Hook in a strip club, so I know that he's still being a bloke, but he's not. But they're doing everything right with him. Let's put it that way.
You're right. Talking of doing everything right, one of the best wrestling talents I've probably seen in the last. When did NXT 2000? The last 6 to 7 years. Adam Cole.
Yeah.
One of the best in-ring talents I think I've seen when he had that run in NXT as the champion. Now returned to AEW, hasn't wrestled for a good 5 to 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Comes back on Dynamite this past Wednesday, just about to cut a promo. Daniel Garcia from the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out, basically sets up a match for next week.
Yeah.
A lot of people, again, I go back to social media as you do. Oh, why have they screwed this up with Adam Cole? What's he going with Daniel Garcia? Probably the perfect person to go in the ring with.
Yeah.
If you'd watched the Daniel Garcia match, if you know that guy is on the same level with Adam Cole. He can go. Yeah. Some of the best matches I've seen in AEW. When they let that boy wrestle, and on the mic, he's incredible. But I am so glad to see Adam Cole come back. I mean, for me personally, if I'm pushing someone, as you said, to the moon, within the next, 5 months, 6 months, maybe after Double or Nothing, when you kind of got a clear view of what's happening after Double or Nothing, Adam Cole's my man if he can stay healthy. I mean, are you pleased to see him back in AEW? What's the ceiling for Adam Cole in AEW? Because we've just lost Daniel Bryan's. We don't know where he's. Is he going to Ring of Honor? We don't know what's happening with him. You know, there could be some good future MJF. You've got Darby Allin. You've got a few of the others. John Moxley. Yeah. For me, Adam Cole is. He is that damn good. He is Adam Cole, baby. And he is very, very good. What did you make of him coming back to Dynamite? What did you make of the setup for the Daniel Garcia? I mean, for me, push this kid as far as you can. And I know what you said a minute ago about Hook. I'm flipping this time. Push Adam Cole as quick as you can.
I think Adam Cole's got the experience. He's also older than Hook, which obviously makes more sense. There is no ceiling for Adam Cole. Absolutely not. He doesn't have that generic look that WWE go for, which was always going to be a problem. I mean, NXT, he can get away. Main roster, he'd never be able to. I don't think he would have got to where he should get to purely on that. Although now, well, we say Vince isn't there, but we know he is. But
he's there.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
He's there.
Look, the two people that you've got in the ring with, I don't get why people were complaining about Adam Cole. They need to understand the seriousness of his injury first. Yeah, and I suppose
career-threatening injury.
That's what all access is going to be about. I think from
the first one apparently next Wednesday.
Yeah,
after Dynamite.
So you're going to understand a lot more. I think they have to take care of him. So, say for example, I wouldn't put him in the ring with Darby Allin anytime soon, and that's not because I think Darby Allin's reckless. I just think the way that he does, I've said it before, he can come across. He's split second away every time from.
I'm hoping the Daniel Garcia thing could lead to a thing with Jericho Appreciation Society. If you're going to come back and you want to be safe, right? Many people better to go in the ring with Jericho.
Jericho's one of the top guys to do that. These two guys are going to go ahead and next week could easily be a world title match in AEW. They're both. I mean, Daniel Garcia is. I get what they're doing with him because he is a pro wrestler, but he's more of an entertainer at the minute, and he got caught out on the mic, didn't he? He nearly said about pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's good. He got out of it well, though. It was good.
He got out of it well. But yeah, those two are it's gonna be a fantastic match. I can't wait. But just protect Adam Cole. Know, just let's hope and pray that he stays healthy because there is no ceiling for him in AEW.
No, he's one of my. I wish AEW would hurry up and announce their London show. By the way, so I want to see Adam Cole, baby. Have they forgot about us or something?
I think so. Do you know what it was? I reckon when they announced that, WWE were like, "Shit, we need to do something."
Yeah, bang, money in the bank,
SmackDown, and it probably because if you think about where AEW is probably going to end up doing a show.
Fulham Football Club.
Fulham, and it's in the off season.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hello. Oh my God, we've gone. Am I talking to myself? Adam, hello. Oh my God, I just finished the show on my own.
I can see you.
Oh, there he is. He's back. I can hear me. See, I told you we might have a storm on my Zoom mic.
I'm just getting rain. But I could hear you, but I couldn't see you.
Oh, okay. I just waffled away to myself for a couple of minutes. But yeah, you're right with AEW in London, and hopefully it happens. I really do want to see Adam Cole in the flesh. John Moxley versus Stu Grayson from the Dark Order. Mm-hmm. Fucking what a match.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. John Moxley didn't bleed. Thank God.
No. Couldn't take a shot.
Yeah, it was incredible. Do you like the way the Blackpool Combat Club and John Moxley have gone since William Regal went back to WWE? Because he was such a big part of that story starting. Then he kind of went, I want to go back to WWE and train my son and be, Triple H's right hand man. And I get why you'd want to do that, but it was kind of they were just getting on a roll with the whole Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta, yada yada yada. But Moxley, I don't think he knows that. He gets a lot of shit for the blood, and I get it, but his matches are incredible. Is he the modern day Mick Foley? No, I hate that comparison.
No.
He's not. There's only ever going to be one Mick Foley, but I do like a John Moxley match. And Stu Grayson from the Dark Order, by the way, wow. Some of the stuff he done in the ring on Dynamite. Again, this was another, for me, could have easily been a pay-per-view match. If I was watching that on a Saturday night, Sunday, whenever we do pay-per-views now, I wouldn't have been disappointed. What do you think of the way they're moving the Blackpool Combat Club on now. I mean, Wheeler Yuta gave a really stupid interview a few months ago saying it's going to be the next NWO. It's not. Don't ever think it will be. But what do you make of the whole John Moxley thing? He's done, he's moved on a lot since he's left WWE. You know what I mean? I think as he was Dean Ambrose there, and what it looked like, you can only tell that even the way he wrestles now, I think he was restricted in WWE.
Oh, there's no doubt that he was restricted in WWE. Absolutely no doubt. And you could have known that before he went there. Because there's some wrestlers that when you say, "Oh, you see some of WWE," oh, that's going to be interesting now because they know there was at times where you couldn't do certain moves. I know power drivers are still banned, but there was other moves that they just weren't allowing. So, yeah, he was never going to be what we see now, and I love what we see now. I'm not a fan of the blood every fucking week. I think because it takes away the speciality when it happens. The whole point of and WWE used to do it a lot as well. Even when
let's not beat around the bush. The Attitude Era, the Attitude Era
bloody every week.
Yeah,
but I did think the only saving grace was I said there would be there's as long as there's a point to it. And I think it's just it's John Moxley match, he has to bleed.
Yeah, he bled on a house show last week.
Well, exactly that, but he didn't bleed this week. So which was good. His style is fantastic. Sod the modern day Mick Foley. We're not even interested in that. He's John Moxley.
It's John Moxley. Exactly.
Stu Grayson, what a talent. They let him go.
Great talent,
and they even let him go.
Good talent, man. Honestly, the match was incredible. The finish was good. That what I mean. I was it was a pay-per-view style match, and AEW had a few of them on this show, which were nearly at the main event. Just briefly, I mean this. Saraya in AEW, Tony Storm versus Sky Blue. It needs to be, for those that don't know, it needs to be Pages now. In Saraya in AEW, the whole Tony Storm, the Outcast, Ruby Soho, and all. It's okay. The match was for me fucking awful. Tony Storm versus Sky Blue, Jericho, sorry, Botchamania, but it was bad. Really bad. I feel like all I do is shit all over women's wrestling right now because WWE is really bad. They'll pull something out the bag for WrestleMania, but Tony Storm is such a talent. Don't know too much about Sky Blue, not gonna know. Obviously Saraya's there, Paige, former WWE, Ruby Soho, former WWE. Where are you with the whole Outcasts, and is it something that the AEW should persist with? If you want to bring people like these girls in from WWE, Saraya, and you want to push her for the title. You want to get her in. Have they dropped the ball there with what they're doing, or like you said earlier, are they slowly, buildy? She might get to the main event, and as women's champion.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it. The problem is with AEW is that obviously Britt Baker wasn't there. Jamie Hayter's got visa issues, so she's over here at the moment. Without them two, I mean, they've got Taya Valkyrie now from Impact. So she debuted last week again, and she looks as though she's feuding with Jade Cargill for the TBS. Is it TBS? Yeah, I'm sure it's TBS. Something like that. Anyway.
When Jade Cargill comes on the screen, mate, I tend to fall asleep.
You take Britt and Jamie Hayter away from that storyline, it's tough. It really is tough. That's again, we said WWE lack of quality, needs a refresh. AEW, like Willow Nightingale disbanded. She was on Ring of Honor maybe last week, or maybe even this week. Why don't they just get the bag out and get Sasha in or Mercedes in? Why don't they just her New Japan contracts coming up? They got Forbidden Door coming up. Tony Khan, just pull the bag out and get it done.
I think she wants to go back to WWE. I think Triple H is already negotiating that. From what I saw an interview on BT Sport. I don't know if you saw it over here in the UK where they sat down with Triple H. I don't know what it was before, and they said, "Look, what's the situation there?"
This was a while back, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was like, "The door is never shut." He said, "Look, we speak." I text her. He texted her after the Japan debut. She said she got all emotional. Bailey still speaks about her. WWE's at home. I would love to see her in AEW because I think that could ignite dynamite. No pun intended. But I think she'd be incredible in AEW. And again, I think she'd be more free, a bit like John Moxley. I think if you watched her in New Japan, she's really good. And the matches she's had are really good. So yeah, again, it's another women's division that's kind of that
we've also got the now Trinity or Naomi, who's now
Naomi is a free agent. Yeah.
So,
again, though, does she bring much to the table?
Possibly not, but again, you've got to think of refresh, and you
Yeah.
still, I'm not saying. I mean, Sasha Banks is the obvious standout. Hey, look, phone Molly Spartan. Give her.
Yes. Get Molly
Get her
in
over
there.
She worked with Ring of Honor once. She had a match at Ring of Honor when they come over here as a separate entity to AEW. Why not?
Get Molly in there as some badass. Let her do what she does.
In there.
Yeah.
They need it. Both divisions, both. And we're talking about AEW today, but both women's divisions lack.
Well, yeah, in promotions, yeah.
So
yeah, no, 100%. Now, I'm going to need you here. For those that don't know, I am dyslexic. I have my problem is pronouncing stuff. Kenny Omega versus who?
It's Vikino. That's it.
Brilliant. I give you the big build up, Adam. Vikino. I could have said that, mate, and I'm dyslexic. Kenny Omega versus Vikino. There you go.
That's it.
I texted you while I was watching this, and I put a tweet out on the at HTT Buckle. Go and check us out. If this match was on WrestleMania, number one trending worldwide. I thought, and a lot of people will go back to the start of the show, trampoline wrestling. No. Kenny Omega, this match, fucking incredible. I'm going to watch it again later. I'm just going to watch the entire match. Main event of AEW by Kino, Kenny Omega. And it got a lot of bad press, Adam, didn't it, before? Who is Vikino? I mean, don't get me wrong, I can't even say his name, but Kenny Omega, Vikino, and we said at the start, it was meant to happen in 2020. The pandemic happened. Vikino, I'm guessing, couldn't travel, yada, yada, yada. It happened now. Yes, there was no build. Yes, will they probably follow it up? No, but they kind of set something up at the end of the match with Dom Callis and, Hangman Page. Just speaking about the match before we get to the end. Oh, my God. The table spot, he hit it's called the 630.
Yes.
Do realize he jumped? This wasn't like he jumped off the top rope, Adam. He jumped off the fucking middle rope, triple somersaulted through a table. This is what, and people don't come at us with it. That is not trampoline wrestling. That is incredible. That main event, mate, had me purring like a kitten. It's why I like wrestling, and I think, and I said this at the start, and I think AEW do this really, really well. Their fast-paced matches are fast-paced matches. I get you have the little lulls every now and again, but the spots that AEW hit and the speed that they do them, and don't get me wrong, WWE do it as well. But for me, AEW, their fast-paced matches, mate, when they do them, they hit a bit better for me, mate. I'm not gonna lie, maybe because WWE haven't got so many quote-unquote high flyers anymore. What did you think of the main event? I text you. I said, mate, this is put that in near the top card of a WrestleMania or a WWE pay-per-view. People be like, match of the year, blah blah blah, 5 stars. It's give
You'll still get 5 stars from Meltzer.
Oh, Dave Meltzer's on the payroll. I mean, yeah, we know. But
so it's El Hijo del Vikino.
Yep, not saying that in a million fucking years.
There you go. I would struggle after a bit.
Yeah.
So
I struggle to say my own name after a beer, mate.
Oh, there you go. So normally I'm not a fan. And you know that
I know, yeah.
I loved it. But here's the but.
Here it comes.
Yeah, you was probably expecting it.
Yes.
You can call me a dinosaur, call me a fossil. Here's the thing about it. I think that AEW can sometimes do too much. That match could have had half the amount of spots in, the big spots, and been just as fantastic. I don't think it needed as much of the spots as it did. Again, they're giving this away on free TV. And we're going to talk ratings after because we'll get to the final thing. And
I'm ready for the question.
So I love the match. I just think if they even just I'm not a fan of too many big spots in the match. And that is my only criticism of this match. I just felt that there was too many big spots. Like if you remember the different styles, but if you remember Taker, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25, we're talking WWE. I know it's an AEW show, but it had big spot and a big spot and a big spot when they needed it. So it was like they had their action, they'd done their first part of their story, bang, high spot, taken and he breaks his neck, and then they kill it. And then it goes back to being a more, I don't know what you want to call it, strategical battle. And then I think there was another table spot halfway through. And it was big spots in the right places to give them their break. Obviously, this was a fast-paced match, so they probably didn't need a break. But I just felt it didn't need as many. But it was the match itself was blown away, fantastic. But I just would have liked the little less big spots.
I fucking loved it. Give me big spots. Give me big spots. Call me a teenager. I love big spots. I thought it was incredible, mate. Yeah, I loved it from first bell to last. I thought the finish was incredible. I love Kenny Omega's finisher, by the way. Woo!
Oh, the one-winged angel.
Mate, what a finisher, by the way. And just finishing it off, Hangman stole an ambulance. That cracked me up.
Stole an ambulance.
Don't get me wrong, it's wrestling. It's wrestling, and we're not all stupid in this entertainment. I loved it. It took me back to being a child again. You know, remember the old WWE days? If you ever saw anyone getting pushed into an ambulance, you knew they would get. The Undertaker was probably sitting in the fucking driving seat about to kick the shit out of you. Anyway, Hangman comes down. Don Callis threw himself to the floor again because to try and make out that Hangman, you know, had hit him with the whatever he had, a pipe or a bit of bubble.
Something or other, wasn't it?
Something he had in his hand. The whole Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, I'm getting very Sammy and KO vibes.
Yeah, it could well be. Didn't think of that.
Kind of. I wrote it in my notes here. Sammy and KO. If you read my notes, by the way, so you know, you're lucky I just have to read them. Sammy and KO vibes at the end of the show. You know, they were a great partnership. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega. Is that going to happen again? Is it something we're going to see? Is it going to be like, let's draw it out for a couple of weeks? You know, Don Callis is obviously involved. The Blackpool Combat Club come down, and that's how the show kind of went off the air with, you know, them. Adam, I thought it was a solid ending to a solid show, mate. Just to wrap up our AEW Dynamite review show.
Yep.
Solid. I'm giving it a good 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Parker's probably listening to this. I'm hoping he's giving me a well done, Burrows.
He's probably going 9.
9. Yeah, Parker. I'm sorry, bro. Parker, you're my guy. I love you, man. But 8 out of 10. But anyway, Adam, let's finish off the show. I know you had some questions, some ratings talk. For me, AEW, again, 2 weeks running, AEW killed it. Solid.
Yeah, I did. And again, it was going back to what I said earlier on about wanting to watch next week. So the finish.
I want to watch Rampage, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, there is that to it. I don't think I'd go quite that far, but there is.
Andy is doing the AEW Rampage
all
by himself.
I'll watch Rampage, don't worry, but I'm not. I'm more excited for Dynamite next week.
Okay.
I wanted to go and ask the question about these, because we all know that AEW kind of wants to get to the 1 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where they'd like to be. So Wednesday's Dynamite done 954. So close. Yeah.
Nearly there.
It done. When was the last time do you think it done over 1 million viewers?
During the pandemic.
No. It done it on the 22nd of February.
Oh, there you go. So I thought it was way, but yeah.
Yeah, there is, and that was headlined by the huge announcement that was promoted by Tony Khan. And it was also another match between a Blackpool Combat Club and Dark Order, funnily enough.
Then it very underrated.
The last time it done it before that was the 25th of January. And that was just over 1 million. And that was Briscoe versus Lethal. So it was just after passing away. Mm-hmm. The next time they didn't do it until October.
Wow.
Which was their anniversary show.
Mm-hmm.
And then the time before that was the Grand Slam of Champions, which they done Bryan Danielson versus Jericho. So my question to you is, what do you think they need to do to solidly hit and go above this on a regular basis?
Be consistent.
Be consistent. In what way? Booking or?
Bit of both. Consistency in your storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
We all watch wrestling for storytelling and great
Yeah.
matches. You can't have one without the other. You can have
Yeah.
a great match, but if there's no story, it's not going to work. You can have a great story, but if the match is terrible,
Yeah.
a la Bray Wyatt, great stories, terrible matches. Guy couldn't wrestle his way out of a paper bag, in my opinion. AEW, again, like I said earlier, you know, and that was the main criticism on social media, and I kind of get it. They build things and then they kind of forget about it, and then they might pick it up 3 weeks down the line. They done a bit on Dynamite where they were saying they set up the opening match with Sting, Darby Allin, and yada yada. They set that up because of what had happened on a house show. They're doing this house world tour,
House rules.
house rules world tour. They
Yeah.
said, right, this match has happened because what happened on Thursday night in some little town in America.
Canada, but yeah.
Canada, my bad. A little town in Canada. A little town.
Winnipeg.
But, yeah. Winnipeg, you idiot.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, okay, so are they going to do this every week? For me, it's, again, it comes back to the jigsaw earlier, throw it up in the air. And I think that's what Tony Khan's doing. He's got like a piece of the jigsaw's hanging off the curtains, a piece of the jigsaw's up on the ceiling. He doesn't quite know where to put the pieces. It's there. It's a great jigsaw puzzle. Once it's put together, and when AEW do put it together, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Just at the minute, it's kind of all over the gaff. So for me, mate, to answer your question in a roundabout way, be consistent with your booking and your storytelling. Don't think, and again, this comes back to your point, don't think you have to give us everything on TV. Save it. Make me want to book a pay-per-view in May. You don't do many pay-per-views a year. Make me want to pay £14, whatever it is we have to pay over here in the UK. Make me want to pay that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like I said to you, the Kenny Omega match on Dynamite was incredible. But give me that build, long-term booking. We say every week, give me that build at the end of that, dangle that carrot at the end of it and go, bam, take my money. Make me, just as soon as that comes on sale, I'm booking that pay-per-view. Not because in WWE, you know, you might write, okay, I'm watching WrestleMania Backlash. It's WWE, it's a pay-per-view. I'm a WWE, I'm going to watch it. No. Make me want to watch it. WWE it's WrestleMania season. We all want to watch that. We're all probably going to want to watch Backlash again. AEW need to be consistent with what they're doing. I don't know who writes their TV. Is it you know Tony Khan? Are the Young Bucks having influence? Is Kenny having influence? You know, he can't. I just think he's maybe got too many balls in the air and he's not that good at juggling. Is the way I'd see it. So consistency, storytelling and delegation maybe would be my thing with AEW. It's there. The product's there. The fan base is definitely there. They had a little lull when I dipped into it about 4 weeks ago. They were in some tiny arena. They were in a tiny arena somewhere in the middle of America. I don't know where. But the camera panned round and all I could see was empty seats. The last few weeks, I think last week was in Kansas. We know it's going to be amazing when it comes to London. That's going to sell out.
Yeah.
Just be consistent with your product. Know where your talent are going. Long-term booking is great. Don't just think for the now. Don't think, right, this is this Dynamite in 3 weeks. No, in my head, think what the Dynamite is in. Think the Dynamite after Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Have that arc, like Eric Bischoff always used to talk about. Have that arc. Know your end point, know your start point, and then work around it. How do I get to that? How do I get to the end of Double or Nothing with wrestler A in the ring with the title, or wrestler B has come back to AEW? Get there. Tony Khan for me just thinks, right, next Wednesday, it's like they said at the end of Dynamite this week, on Rampage this week, we will announce more matches for Dynamite next week. Yeah, because you haven't really got a fucking clue what you're doing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Have long-term thinking. I really do like what AEW done over the last couple. I'm going to give it another chance because I think I really enjoyed the shows. But I just don't, you know, I mean, as wrestling fans, you've kind of got realms of possibilities. You've got to open. I know you've got to open your mind a lot as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But with AEW, I'm kind of like, what? Who? How? Where? What's this build? Who the hell are you? You know, I haven't seen you before. Where are you? Ring of Honor? I don't know what. So yeah, for me, just be consistent, mate, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think I actually forgot to say they went through a period in August and September for about a month when it was doing over 1 million straight, barring a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there. I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner. I'm surprised it's not there already. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Needs to be consistent. He needs to stop just sort of thinking about let's get next week's Dynamite out of the way. He needs to have long-term booking. I also think they just need to sort the rosters out, move whoever you want to Ring of Honor, keep whoever you want in AEW, Rampage, whatever you want to do with that. It's until they make a change. I mean, Rampage's action's quite good, but it's 45 minutes long. What are you going to do in a 45-minute program?
And the money that AEW have got, they could take that around the country. And I'm not comparing it because it's not the same because it's been on for ages. A la SmackDown.
Yeah.
Make it. Give us 2 hours of Rampage. You give us 2 hours of Dynamite.
Yeah.
We get 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown. We'll give you 2 hours of Dynamite and 2 hours of Rampage.
And have separate rosters.
Go or have separate rosters or go old school. You have to get to the end of Dynamite and that leads into Rampage.
Yeah.
The end of Rampage, that leads into Dynamite.
Yeah.
Kind of old school, what me and you grew up with.
The interesting thing is they've got Forbidden Door, which sold out without a match being.
Yeah.
It's fantastic news for them. But again, does that kind of throw that what we've just been saying out the window? Because there's going to be no consistency, is there? Because they're going to start bringing in. Maybe
yeah, I get it.
Bryan Danielson against Jack Sabre Jr., I think it was.
Something like that. Again, there's not going to be much build for this. It's just going to happen. There might be the odd little thing on Dynamite here and there, but it's like last year's Forbidden Door. There was like 2 weeks build. The Forbidden Door happened, and then it was all forgotten about. And again, it comes back to you're kind of like,
what's going on?
Hello? Okay, hello. And then you're like, goodbye. See you next year.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good. But Adam, it's been good, mate. Let's do this again next week. Let's talk some AEW. Yeah. We may try and get a SmackDown review show out maybe Sunday. I feel bad if I don't see you for a day, mate. I kind of get lonely. But yeah, we can maybe try and do something Sunday if we've got time. If not, we are definitely back next week talking more professional wrestling. You can catch our YouTube show at the Sports Carnage over there. Munzie and the guys are doing great things. Make sure you go and check them out. This show, the AEW review show, will probably be on there tomorrow. The audio of this show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Pod, Google Pod, wherever you can. Hit the subscribe button. If you are on Apple, leave us a review. It does help us out. Hit the 5 stars or as many stars as you want on Spotify. But I just want to say a quick thank you for all the people that have interacted with us recently. We're slowly building. Me and Parker started it. And you and Adam have carried it on. It's slowly we're gaining traction now, mate. We've got this stuff with Ignite, mate. So let's do it all again next week. And it has been good.
Don't forget, we got Melina next week.
Melina is on next week.
Wednesday.
Former WWE she was a Divas champion. I can't wait to ask her the transition from Divas to what it is now and how she would fit into the current WWE.
I want to know about Melina a week.
Yeah, we've got a lot of so next Wednesday, Melina's with us. Make sure you tune in.
Any questions for her?
Hit us up at HTT Buckle on Twitter. So me and Adam both have access to that account. We tweet. I often forget to put my name at the end, so people might think it's Adam, and Adam might think it's me. But we're getting better. But Adam, it's been good, mate, and I'll catch you soon, bro.
Yeah, see you later, man.
No worries. This has been the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with my good friend, the tag team partner, Mr. Adam Cousins. Till next time, everybody. Stay safe.